Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin. Hurry up and wait. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. So, back when I was a postdoc, there was this saying, and I think it comes about with sort of bureaucratic processes in general, but the idea is hurry up and wait, right? It seems like something's happening, something's happening, something's happening. So you have to hurry up and jump on board. You have to get the process flowing, and then you have to wait, right? You have to wait a long time. And I was talking about that metaphor in the live stream yesterday, and I think it's a fairly interesting way to view it because I think this market somewhat feels like that, right? It feels like a hurry up and wait, right? Hurry up and wait. And, of course, when you look at these things on daily candles, weekly candles, monthly candles, you'll see completely different stories, okay, depending on what time frame you look at. So if you look at daily candles, obviously it looks rather bearish, okay? I mean, again, call it what it is. It's a downtrend. This is not a bullish trend. This is a downtrend. And it's easy for us to want to try to pick out where the bottom's going to be, and no matter how far it drops, there's always going to be people saying, well, this is the bottom, but really we don't know. I mean, of course there are people saying that this was the bottom, that everyone's waiting for 53K, so it won't happen. Then we actually went to 53K, and there's a lot of people saying that was going to be the bottom, okay, and then that wasn't the bottom, and then we came down to 49K, and so on and so forth. So look, I'm not trying to be a downer, but when you look at it on a daily time frame, it's a downtrend, and we need to break that downtrend before we can. I think it's probably more important to stop predicting everything about when it's exactly going to bottom, and just say, well, when it bottoms, that'll hopefully set us up for the next leg. Right now, we are still in a downtrend on the daily time frame. Okay, so we'd like to see this go sideways. If this is where we want to start to go sideways, that's great. We can try to push sideways and then maybe continue on. But until there's clear evidence to the contrary, we know that in the short term we are in a downtrend on the daily time frame. Now, when you go out to say the weekly time frame, it tells a slightly different story, but still we're still sort of in a downtrend here. Now, the difference being is we're still looking at a potential higher low. Okay, now, I mean, of course, that's not confirmed yet, but when you're talking about a low down here at 29K, this low here at 39K, and so far this low has come in at 42K or 43K, you're at least looking so far at a higher low. So the weekly time frame tells a slightly different story. Now, when you go to the monthly time frame, and I think a lot of people have harder times thinking in terms of months because so much happens in 1 month. Okay, like, to give you an example, think back to September and think about everything that we experienced in September. Not only, normally we know September is a down month for Bitcoin, but, going into August, it seemed like, oh, we're doing pretty well, but September is normally a bad month, and then we actually went up initially. So Bitcoin went up from, 47K, more or less around the current prices, up to 53K, and then all the way back down, all in the span of that single month. Okay, that was the span of a single month. Euphoria, and then fear. So it is hard, I think, for a lot of us, because we're human, to think about things on a monthly time frame. Mostly because think about everything that happens in a given month. When you look at monthly candles, you kind of see a little bit of a different story, right? And that story potentially being the idea that rather than looking at these local uptrends, these local downtrends, you're looking at sort of this macro resistance on monthly time frames that we're having a hard time breaking through. And namely, it is 70K, more or less. I mean, if we can get above 70K, I think that would look quite nice. But right now, it's hard to draw these on the weekly time frame, but 70K more or less is now that line in the sand that we are struggling to get above, okay? And one of the things is when you go back and look at, say, Bitcoin on the daily, okay, you look at Bitcoin on the daily, we saw actually a similar pattern back when we tried breaking the prior all-time high, but on the daily time frame, right? We came up to the prior all-time high, we got rejected. We came up to it again, but we went slightly higher than we did the first time. We still got rejected. We are able to put in a macro higher low, and then on the third attempt, we broke through. So looking at Bitcoin today on the monthly time frame, we can see, all right, well, we got rejected. Second rejection as well. It certainly would be nice if whatever the low is higher than this low, and we don't have to repeat what the S&P did back in the early 2000s and come all the way back down and then go up. But first rejection, second rejection, ideally on the third attempt, just like when we got past the prior all-time high at 20K, let's hopefully we can actually decisively push past it. But it does look a lot different when you look at these things on, say, daily time frames versus weekly versus monthly. And then if you go look at 2-month candles, I mean, it really is an interesting story. Because basically what you notice is that this 2-month candle in March took us back up to the top of the range. And then the 2-month candle in May took us all the way back down on the weekly close, all the way down at $35,000. Okay, so we came all the way back down here. Then we had two-month candles that took us back up to the top. And then now, this 2-month candle, November, December, which many believe to be the parabolic time for Bitcoin, is actually a 2-month candle down. And we've basically wiped away all of the gains that we saw in September and October. Okay, so yes, it certainly is not fun for people right now because obviously Bitcoin is in a short-term downtrend at the very least. We've wiped away the gains that we saw over here. But at least so far, this 2-month candle, so far anyways, is at least a much more tamed version of what happened back over earlier in the year. And so potentially, we could be looking at a higher low on a much longer time frame. But even then, of course, there are no guarantees. So certainly, I think when you look at Bitcoin and you look at it on daily time frames, it can always seem often seem quite bearish, especially during times like this. You look at more macro scale time frames, which is what this channel is all about, investing in projects you think will trend up with time. You sort of see us coming in on this macro resistance between 60 and 70K, and really until we can break that, we're not really looking at another major rally. So that's what we're looking for. And as I said at the beginning of this video, I do believe that Bitcoin can best be characterized this cycle as hurry up and wait. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the premium list, which you can find a link to in the description below at intothecryptoverse.com. You will get information on how I navigate these markets. You'll find weekly reports and videos, a Telegram alert channel, the Telegram chat room, the risk dashboard, trading view indicators, and more. Make sure you guys check it out. Thank you for tuning in, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.